obviously with big ambition, even whether it's a small project or it's a large project in terms of every OR, every surgery. How do you personally define success?
For us, success comes in many buckets or many measures. At its most raw and its most true version, it's about stories. So for us, it's about human stories. So at Proximie, for example, every Monday on our company call, we start off with a mission and vision story. So what we're trying to really work on is how do we make sure that we're consistently reminding ourselves of the impact we are trying, I mean, why we started Proximie was to change lives, to make a difference. We wanted to combine the best of human expertise with the most advanced technologies to change lives. And so it always crystallizes back down to how did Proximie either change a patient's life or enable a doctor to do something they weren't able to do, or support a hospital to scale or bring expertise that they weren't able to have. And so when you come at that core and that raw mission and vision, everything else falls around it, right? Everyone, all almost 100 people at Proximie are driven towards that single mission. And so that in and of itself, on a weekly basis, we're demonstrating success, demonstrating stories, and we bring those stories. Every single person from Proximie takes a Monday and they present a story. So I think on a human level, that is something that's very important to me, and it's how we position a lot of our online marketing, our Instagram and others, like the humans of Proximie, kind of, you know, modeled on the humans of New York. The second, of course, is kind of scale. You know, is this an exciting thing for 10 hospitals, or are we growing this and positioning this in many, many hospitals around the world? I mean, when we started pre-COVID, we were in about 25 hospitals. We're now in close to 350 hospitals around the world in 55 countries. It's democratizing access to surgery. It's not a technology for some parts of the world, it's for every part of the world. And so when I'm sitting with my team and we're looking at scaling happening both in the US and Europe, but equally parts of Kenya using Proximie and parts of the Middle East using Proximie, that fills me with kind of joy around the success that we're doing. And I think the final thing is about people. You know, it's about people in Proximie. How are we enabling them to acquire new skills and new skill sets that will enable them for the future, whether they stay with Proximie or whether they, you know, move on to other endeavors. I always want people to leave having learned and driven and professionally driven themselves forward, but also the teams and the surgeons that work with us that are excited and enthusiastic about the future. You know, that kind of behavior change is what we're trying to achieve, right? People changing the way they do things. So those are kind of how we've been measuring success. And of course, like every other business, there are other metrics around revenue and others, but those are not really the things that kind of drive the company on a day-to-day basis of why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I like how you're humanizing the outcomes, right, in a way. And if those are at the core, everything else you still track and measure and think about. But I think that brings it all back to why you're doing this, which makes people.
And it will come. You know, if you're really truly solving a problem, you've got people empowered to drive that change. You've got people willing to adopt and adapt to that change. And all the other metrics that a company needs from its P&L and its investor reports and its shareholder will come because you're succeeding at making that difference.
And then for you, when you evaluate your own metric of success, like is Nadine successful? Do you use very similar approaches with in the context of the stories or the people that you impact?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. You know, one is, of course, how many people are, how are we growing the Proximie family? Like I see that as an important success metric. And myself as a CEO, how am I able to continue to drive and grow that team? But of course, my kind of targets as a person are aligned with the company. It's the mission. I started Proximie years ago because I wanted to make that change, and that continues to be the case.